For the latest on the search for the suspected attackers, we now cross live to our correspondent in Brussels, Kevin Ozebek. Kevin, a very good afternoon to you. Please give us the latest on the search for the missing suspects. Any new leads yet?
Well, good afternoon to you, Alicia. And right now, the search continues for Salah Abdeslam, who has now been named Europe's most wanted man. As you mentioned yesterday here in Brussels, there was a very intense search for him. That search focused on the Brussels neighborhood known as Molenbeek. That's, in fact, just one metro stop away from the European Commission headquarters, which is right behind me. Now, even though about 100 heavily armed police officers combed through Molenbeek, they were not able to find him. Witnesses who were there in the neighborhood say this was a very intense search. And in fact, Alicia, people say at one point the police officers even made people living in Molenbeek head to the windows, head to their doors, put their hands out as police officers went person by person searching for Salah Abdeslam. But as you mentioned, his whereabouts are still unknown at this time, so the international manhunt continues.
Look, Kevin, at this stage, who's heading this investigation? Do you know if Interpol or the FBI have also been roped in to assist with the investigation?
Well, Interpol has definitely been roped into this. In fact, Interpol has set up a crisis hotline or a crisis center to help deal with this. They are looking for leads. They are looking for tips on his whereabouts from the public. This is now a multi-agency international search for this man. We know Belgium authorities are very heavily involved, and of course, so are Belgium authorities. Remember, a few hours after the attacks Friday night in Paris, Salah Abdeslam was stopped by authorities along the French-Belgium border. But at that point, there was no be on the lookout for him. So those border guards saw him, questioned him, didn't think anything about him, didn't find any evidence that he was connected to the attacks in Paris. So they let him go. Well, now the question is, where exactly is he? Is he still in Belgium? Did he leave Belgium? Where in Europe or anywhere in the world could this man be hiding?
Look, Kevin, EU defense ministers have agreed to supply military assistance for France. Tell us more about this, and how does this aid the current situation?
Well, today we heard from the EU's top diplomat, Federica Mogherini, and she says this is mostly a political statement and a symbolic measure that the EU did today. We do know France's President Francois Hollande is now on this push to unify all the world powers to come up with a concise, clear, and unified strategy for tackling ISIS. Today we learned that President Francois Hollande will be traveling to the United States next week to meet with President Barack Obama. The French president has also stated that he does also want to be in very close talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. All of these world leaders here have had a very big stake in the Syria crisis. So now France is trying to bring all the players together. So basically all world leaders can come together and figure out the best plan of attack when it comes to combating ISIS.
Now, Kevin, tell us about life in Paris now. We hear it's slowly getting back to normal, but are there new security measures that have been put in place by the government? Tell us more about those.
Well, President Hollande has extended the state of emergency, which gives him much more power. And the president says this is being done so he can control the situation and act accordingly for any threats that may be arising. So now with the state of emergency, his government can issue certain orders like demanding people stay inside of their homes. Police can now execute search warrants and seize property without a judge signing off on that order. So this gives both the police and the president more power. When it comes to life in Paris, I was in Paris all day Saturday. Obviously, the mood was very somber, as you can imagine. But Parisians were very adamant on trying to return to normalcy. Even though some shops and cafes were closed, others were open even on Saturday, the day after the attack, and people were still out and about, sipping their coffee, eating their food, trying to not allow these attacks to hamper and damper everyday life.
That's Kevin Ozebek, our correspondent in Brussels.